Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are. It is Thursday already, just 2 days away from me heading out to Atlanta, Georgia. Very excited to be there for that game. We're ending the streak. That's what I'm calling it, is a streak, because the last 3 games that I've been at have been losses. The 49ers been struggling a little bit on the road. They need to right the ship, and so do I. Yes, I'm changing up what I wear to the game. I am a little bit stitious, not superstitious, but a little bit stitious. So, yeah, I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to have some good luck charms there with me. I think the Niners changed the tide this one. I really do. I think we beat Atlanta. Want to say what's up to those that are here in the chat. Alan, Eliza coming in, Rob Schuh, Sneakerheads, and everyone. Happy Friday Eve. Let's go Niners. Raphael 562 Niners, also a sneakerhead here on the channel, says, what's up, sneakerheads? Rob, sneakerheads, and everyone. Daniel coming in. Rob Schuh, Niners going back to the ship this time, winning to go to the Super Bowl. #1 defense in the NFL, and our offense will get rolling. Daniel is making bold predictions. I am here for it. Gold-blooded. All these other live shows going on, and here I am. Cheers, Rob. You've got a fan, my man. Let's go Niners. I appreciate that. Honestly do. Love it. All right, we will get into this thing. Going to be talking to the sneakerheads. For those that are watching this, the link is in the chat. I put that in there at 3:46. I'll drop it in there again. It's over on the community tab of my YouTube page. So if you go to my YouTube channel, and you are, in fact, a member of the channel, you are a sneakerhead, that means that you've joined the channel, you can then go to the community tab. You will find the link to take you backstage for StreamYard. So I'll go ahead and drop that link again for anyone that needs it. All right. Now that we got that link in there, we are starting off with our first caller, bringing back into the stream. Very excited to have him here with us today. Chris Royal is joining us. Chris, how are you doing, my friend? It is good to see you.
Oh.
Gotcha. Yes, sir. Got
there
that.
There we go. Perfect.
Go.
It's good to be back.
Yeah. Yes, it is, man. How have you been? How have you been on this roller coaster that is the season to this point?
It's been crazy to watch. Winning some games that maybe we thought that we were going to lose, and then losing some games we thought we were going to win. It's not a normal football season if you don't have a little drama, right?
That's right. It's the NFL. You get your ups, you get your downs. It's like life. You get some positives, you get some negatives, some unexpected wins, some unexpected pains. We have had are very real. And I've got to say, this is a team that I feel so good about the depth that not even these injuries that would normally derail my enthusiasm or at least bring me down a peg, they are not. I'm very excited about this defense. Believe that the backups can step in and fill in and hope for the best for those like E-Man, where it is, that he's lost for the season, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess we've been fortunate that it hasn't been a whole lot of long-term injuries. There's a lot of injuries for sure.
Yes. So many of them feel like guys are coming back. And honestly, if you're shelved for 4 games and you're deep enough to win while you're away, that's not such a big deal, right? It's only the season-ending ones that really begin to decimate a squad.
Yeah, and most of the injuries that we're having is on defense, where we're the deepest. So I think if there is a positive, we can look at that and be like, at least we've got depth.
Have you been surprised by what you saw on the defense, by what you're seeing on the defense, or were you with me in the camp that this was pretty much what you hoped would happen?
No, I called it out earlier in the, off season that I thought we were going to be a top 1 to 3 defense. And I think they're just living up to what I thought.
Me too.
I think they're playing better than I thought, to be honest. And
yeah,
a lot of the, second string guys, the depth pieces are playing extremely well. So
who's been the biggest surprise of the names where maybe you expect them to do something, but you weren't expecting what you've seen so far? Who's been the biggest shocker?
I've enjoyed watching Dre Greenlaw. He's
done
really
from
well.
week 1 on, drastic improvement.
And then, I called out too that I thought Talanoa Hufanga was going to make a huge impact, and he has not let me down in that department.
No, he has not.
So those are my two favorite that I've been watching so far.
They really are lighting the world on fire right now. I mean, Dre Greenlaw led the team in tackles, and he's looking like a thumper. And honestly, on the first game, week 1 against Chicago, wherein he had some penalties and people were critical of him, it really seemed like an over-exuberance, right? That he was trying to do too much, dialed it back a little bit, played a little calmer, and that worked out well for him. Talanoa Hufanga, I've had to admit that while I was confident in his ability to compete for the role, I had no insight as to just how special he might be in it. I thought for sure that safety would be a weakness. It is turned into arguably a strength right now. And I agree that there are a lot of secondary players that are really helping out, in particular with the injuries that we're dealing with along the offensive line. What did you take away from the Carolina game? Did you see that as a statement type of win that gives you greater faith going forward? Or do you discount it because of the fact that Carolina's offense was expected to be poor, was ranked 32nd in the league, and therefore we can't really measure ourselves against a team like that?
Yeah, I kind of stand somewhere in the middle there. I expected us to win that game.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't discount the win in general because a win's a win. So, and you got to take them whenever you can get them, even if it is an opponent that you're supposed to win. So, yeah, I would say I was somewhere in the middle there.
Yes, as am I. By the way, got to bring it in. William Bennett, Sneakerhead here on the channel. Good friend. Hoping to see him back on the call-in show in the near future, but it's been a little while since we've had a conversation. He says, hey, Rob, keep up the good work, and shout out to Chris Royals. Hey, I'm telling you, Chris Royal, you and William with the threads when you're on, always keeping it top-notch, always complimenting one another. I'm here for the camaraderie, my friend. Shout out to William Bennett.
Yes, shout out to William.
Absolutely, absolutely. Those of you that are here in the chat, do me that favor of hitting the like button, boost that signal so more and more faithful can get in here. One more comment at me, Jason Lewis, Sneakerhead here on the channel, says, Rob, I'd say rest Bosa this week and even next week. KC game gets all the hype, but the Rams game is much more important before the bye week. Hopefully most of the guys are back after the bye week as well. I'm in alignment on the first part here that Bosa should be rested this week. I know you can't afford to drop any game, and you cannot overlook Atlanta as an opponent. It is turf. It is a groin injury. Missing 1 week is far better than 5, 6, half a season like his brother Joey. I'm shutting Nick down on this one and seeing what we have, leaning heavier on Samson Ebukam, Charles Omenihu, and the rookie Drake Jackson. What would be your vote with regard to Nick Bosa, Chris?
If he's 100%, I'd say you probably let him just play. But,
yeah.
I think if he's anything less than that, you just say, hey, look, you sit this one out. I mean, we're expected to win this game, even if he's not on the field. I mean,
that's right.
We've highlighted the depth on the defense. So we're going to make Marcus Mariota really uncomfortable regardless who's out there. So
yes, hopefully we are.
I would definitely shut him down this week. I would bring him back for KC. I don't disagree with the Rams game as an important game, but that Kansas City game is going to be pretty important too. It
is. Honestly, as we get down the stretch, 1 or 2 games is going to be a big difference in seeding, maybe even in making the playoffs. Every game really does matter. KC is definitely a tough one. I will say I'm in alignment with how you described this, of viewing KC as important, but agreeing with both you and Jason that, yes, the Rams are the more important of the two. If I could choose only one of the two to win, obviously winning your division gives you a distinct advantage in making the playoffs. So taking down the Rams would absolutely be something that would be a priority. Want to recognize Swan Song coming in as a new member, upgraded member. They don't tell me on here, but we know Swan Song. Want to welcome him back, getting him in later in the program. Got another question here, Rob. Coming from Gold Digger 1849, Sneakerhead here on the channel. Rob, do you think Coleman will have a decent game and contribute against the Falcons? Both Kyle Shanahan and Tevin Coleman have a revenge game coming up against their old team in the Atlanta Falcons. In 2019, that did not bode so well for the San Francisco 49ers. We did not get our revenge in 2019, but that was the tail end of a 2-game road trip when we had come back to the from the East Coast to the West Coast. We played them at Levi's after the travel. This is now the second game in a 2-game road stand. The 49ers have fared well the last 3 years, winning both of those back-to-back. Do you think that we get our revenge on Atlanta this time around?
Oh yeah, I think we take it this time. And I would say that, as far as Coleman goes, I think he'll contribute. As far as what a decent game looks like, in my opinion, I don't think he'll have a decent game necessarily, but I definitely think he'll contribute to the game.
Yes, he's trusted. He clearly is a trusted back by Shanahan, above and beyond the rookie in Jordan Mason. And that means something in Shanahan's book, right? If you're in the doghouse, you're out. If you're trusted, you are in. Tevin Coleman is a trusted agent, as Harbaugh used to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I can go back to that KC one, the reason why I think having Bosa out there for KC is huge is, that would be a game that I think most people outside the 49ers fan base would expect us to lose.
Yes.
So you really want to put yourself in a situation to win those games that you're supposed to lose.
Yes.
So that's why I would put KC as like being a huge get him out there for it. But yeah, I definitely agree that the Rams is more important because you're looking at the division.
I agree with that. It definitely is more important. Swanson coming in with some important observations here as a sneakerhead here on the channel, saying, look at all that hat drip. Yes, in the background of this shot, as you can see, to the right of Chris Royal, our left is an impressive collection of residency hats, not to mention the one that is on his head. All right, so I want to ask you what you think the keys to the game are here before we close out, but I want to take in Chuck Harper's comment as well. Rob Schuh, does Tom Brady play for the 49ers next year? I don't think so, but I'll tell you what, I'm not going to count it out. It is Tom's childhood dream to play for the San Francisco 49ers. He is arguably the greatest of all time now that he has stuck around for as long as he did and won as many times as he did. I'm always going to make the case for Mr. Montana back there, but I admit Tom Brady, phenomenal. He calls his shots at this point. If he says he wants to play for the Niners, I have a hard time believing that they don't at least consider it based on what has happened this year. I would rather not. I would rather move forward with Lance. That was the plan. Let's execute the plan. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we already said no to him, so I don't think.
Don't bring him back after rejecting him once and be like, we were just kidding about that last time. We really would love to have you in the building. It was an April Fool's joke. You just took it seriously. We're sorry about that. Please come play for us now. Yeah, well, that's problematic.
And, he's got a lot of personal stuff going on in his life, but he's not playing very well. So
no, he's not. Father Time is undefeated. He may even catch up to Tom Brady. Those are just the facts. All right, what's the key to this game? How are the Niners going to take advantage of Atlanta? Atlanta's strong at running the football, but Cordarrelle Patterson is out. Perhaps that gives us enough advantage in our depleted defense to continue being stout against a run. But how do we beat them? What's the key for you?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a rinse and repeat of last week. I mean, to be honest, it's just, suffocate them with the defense and then have our offense be as efficient as possible. And they were pretty efficient.
They were. They
were much better than they were the last few weeks. So as long as they can maintain that trend, I think we walk away with this game similar to last week.
I think you're spot on about that. Jimmy Garoppolo maintaining a 5-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio at this point. If he stays close to that level of efficiency, if he throws for 3 touchdowns and 1 pick, that's the type of game that the Niners are going to win because this defense will clean up after the offense. I don't count on them to be as dominant as they have to this point. They're clearly down some bodies, but they will be stout. And if the offense can play mistake-free, I think that's how we win the game as well. Chris, it's fantastic to see you, man. I hope that we have you back on next week and that we're breaking down a win from Atlanta. But it's always a pleasure talking to you. And I would like to try and get together with the Salem crew and watch that KC game. So if you guys are doing a get-together next week, you let me know because I'm looking for a little 49er camaraderie for that big matchup.
Yeah, we'll definitely be doing it. And I did want to pick your brain about one thing.
Yes.
I heard on your mailbag question about Vic Fangio.
Yes.
I was going to ask your question if you think it would be a good move because personally, as good as he is as a defensive coordinator, he doesn't fit what we've have as far as the last 2 defensive coordinators. High energy, players kind of coach. He's more of like a reserve type guy. Doesn't show a whole lot of emotion.
Right.
So
He's a tactician.
I don't know if he would necessarily fit in the locker room with what we got.
It's a great call out. Not
to take away from how great he is as a defensive coordinator, but
right.
The culture shift would be something that you'd have to take into consideration.
Yes, you do have to take that into consideration. The reason I get on board with it is what we watched underneath the Harbaugh era. The physical defenses, the way in which they played, felt inspired. I feel you make a very valid point about it being a distinct departure from the last two coaches as far as leadership style. However, I will say that we possess I don't know if you want to say a bevy, but at least a handful of critical defensive coaches, Chris Kocurek being one of them, that are energetic coaches. So potentially you still have enough of that energy on the roster, enough of the rah-rah guys to carry you. But I agree, you do have to acknowledge it's a significant departure to Vic Fangio. When I hear, like Matt Barrows did a mailbag, I read that today, and he had the same answer. Like, who's the next man up if D'Amico does go on? He had one answer, and it was Vic Fangio, period. And when Matt Barrows reports that, I just take that as pretty solid. Like, he knows, he's plugged into what that organization is looking at. So it seems to me like a likely candidate.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair for sure. I wouldn't be opposed to it at all. I'm just, wondering how that culture shift would be.
I'd rather we keep D'Amico, but that guy deserves a head coaching position.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah,
always a pleasure, Chris.
Message me, and I'll let you know where we're doing all the get together for the 49er crew.
I most definitely will, my friend.
All right, man.
All right, you have a good afternoon.
Hey, you too. Thank you.
Later, buddy. All right, we are bringing into the stream Alan Elizer. Alan, welcome to the stream, my man. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Rob. How about yourself?
Very well. Loving the drip. Love the sweatshirt. Love the hat. Got the Niner gear going on. I'm down. I'm just on my NFL Combine sweatshirt here. Thankfully, I'm surrounded by Niner paraphernalia everywhere, so the energy is palpable within the offense. So how are you feeling? I mean, obviously, I was saying this with Chris, but it's a roller coaster. We have been up. We have been down. Kind of feels similar to the start of last year in some of those respects. Are you feeling confident right now? Are you feeling assured of who this team is? Or do you think the identity is still being formed?
I think we're kind of in that middle ground where our defense is formed. And even with the losses that we've taken on D, that we're a number one, number 2 D this year. There's no doubt in my mind about that. The defense is formed. We're still, Jimmy and everything else, we're still finding our form there on offense. And
they're getting into a rhythm, I would say.
Yeah, and I think this week we're going to see more, like maybe a couple more deep passes, either to Danny or like the short screen stuff to Debo or Ayuk with the yak yards coming afterwards.
Yes.
And speaking of that, 2 weeks ago against the Rams, when the Rams got that opening salvo with the field goal, right afterwards, I told my wife, hey, the Niners are now going to go down and get a touchdown. And that's when Debo got that pass and took it to the house. And then on that drive where Stafford threw the pick to Talanoa, right beforehand, I said, Stafford's due for a pick six right here. Threw the pick six. And the same thing happened last week with Mosley where Baker threw the pick six. And I said,
I saw that one coming too.
I was like, it's coming right, pick six. It's going to happen. And boom, there it goes again.
Sean 951 Niners and I were texting about that one being a pick coming up.
Yeah, I was like, oh. And she goes, are you psychic or something? I go, I don't know, maybe a little bit.
You're like, I need to know the next lottery numbers, please. Let's use this for a practical solution. You are clearly cued into something in the universe right now. Let's take advantage of this.
Yeah, and it's mostly because that's how much I have in our defense.
Yes.
This year, because last year's D was nowhere near as good as this year's D is right now at this point of the year. At the end of the year, they were just as good. But they were
firing on all cylinders by the end of the year, but they didn't look solid to begin. We were questioned. There were people saying, hey, D'Amico isn't the guy.
Yeah, they're definitely. I would have been one of them at the beginning of the year. But by
I like the admission there.
By week 8 or 9, I was like, okay, no, we're good. Let's go.
Yeah, we're good.
And I had the same things with Robert Saleh early in his tenure, but every week I was like, fire him. And then I was like, no, he's doing great. Fire him. He's doing great.
I can relate to that type of a pendulum swing from one game to the next.
Yeah, so no, I have total faith in the defense. Still a few question marks around Jimmy, but since I've been wearing my Jimmy jersey every week, they've been winning. So
guess what you're wearing this week, right? Like, I mean, this is locked in.
I'm wearing Jimmy, and my wife's wearing Cap. That's what we've been doing every week.
That's perfect, because I need you to help me break this streak, right? People are starting to talk about it with a different term, and that's unacceptable. It is a streak at the moment, and we're going to break it. We're going to break it in Atlanta. So you talked about Jimmy. Let me ask you about the running backs, because Peter Lee brought in this comment a little while ago. Rob Schuh, Bobby Turner's return to the coaching staff since the Rams game is really helping our running backs and the running game. New running back twists this week. So my question for you is, you obviously have the return of Ty Davis Price coming back to practice this week. It doesn't appear that Jordan Mason is being trusted within the offense, certainly not getting the carries, but Tevin Coleman has now reemerged, seems to be very trusted, and Jeff Wilson Jr. seems to be the lead bell cow. How do you see this running back room shaking out with the return of Ty Davis Price? Do you think it's going to be fairly similar to what we saw last game, or does TDP get involved in this game plan?
I think there's going to be a little of a mixture there. I think we're going to finally see that three-headed monster that we saw in 2019.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
Where Wilson's
I'm all for that. Spreading the ball around.
Where Wilson's now Breida, and Coleman, still Coleman, obviously, and then TDP is like that Jeff Wilson Jr. coming out and be goal line packages, or some deeper passes. For Jeff is great in the pass game, so is Coleman, but it's always good to have somebody that's got a little bit more heft behind him to stick his feet in the ground, taking on those, either the defensive linemen or the safeties, or with blitz packages and stuff, having somebody who can actually put their feet in the ground and not.
Yes, because a lot of that pressure that came in last week was coming off the edges, and when it's coming off the edges, it's coming in hot. So you need to have a running back who is going to be able to stand his ground when he lights up one of the edge rushers that breaks free, whether that is on the left side because we've got Williams out, or because of McGlinchey on the right side, who though has been solid. Bringing in the super chat here from Kevin, because we have to. The Sneakerhead here on the channel. Kevin says, sometimes it's better to be the silent observer. Love to you all. Hey, love to you as well, Kevin. Appreciate you coming in and sharing that. We do have a question, though, to both of us, Alan. Gold-blooded comes in. Rob and Alan, are you worried about this special teams unit? We are bottom. They are tops in the league. Road game, that scares me a lot. Could loom large in this one. So, we're at the bottom of the league. A lot of that has to do with miscues, but Atlanta at the top of the league. I see problems in our kickoff coverage unit, not so much on the punt coverage unit, and then a couple of miscues that have allowed for a missed extra point or a missed field goal here or there. Those are troublesome. I think the most worry that I have is the kickoff return unit, because last year we couldn't get it into the end zone to save our lives, and people were advancing it. It seemed at the beginning of this season we were pinning people deep, but now we're having trouble tackling, and that's led to Robbie Gould having a knee contusion. So, yeah, I am concerned about it. I think this game probably breaks out to where it's not a one-score game, so I'm not as worried that this one play might switch the tides of the game. But I do have concerns that the 49ers may be taken advantage of by Atlanta on this one. Any concerns for you, Alan?
Yeah, Ray just needs to hold on to that ball.
Ray.
Like, just like you, my heart's in my throat every time he catches the ball.
Each time. Nothing against him because he's fast, but it just doesn't look like he's short-handed when he's catching it.
No, and worst case, just fair catch the ball. Just don't even try and run it back. Even if we're at the 10, we'll find a way to score. We've done it in the past.
Yeah.
Just catch the ball and hold on to it. Just don't. And that's for anybody back there, Ray or Danny Gray or whoever we decide to throw back there.
Absolutely.
Just hold on to the ball.
Absolutely.
No turnovers.
Who do you think is going to be the breakout player, or what are the keys to the game in this one? What is most important in getting this win against Atlanta?
defense being defense, getting Kittle maybe 4 more targets, get him up to 10 targets.
So are you forcing it to him? Not forcing, but are you scheming the ball actively to him, making a concerted effort to get Kittle involved, or do you think that will naturally occur from the flow of this game?
I'm hoping it will naturally occur. Get some 4 verticals going.
Yeah.
Send them across the field, because most defenses, even if they're in zone coverages, don't cover the middle as well as they cover the sidelines.
No, they just don't have the speed to do it.
Right. So get Kittle, in the middle there. And keep doing the same thing to Debo and Ayuk. The short screen passes, the like guaranteed run, old school run plays, or launch them up. Back that defense up, because the second you back that defense up, the middle of the field opens up.
Yes. Interestingly, David Lombardi from The Athletic pointed out today the 49ers are having success spreading the sidelines, but that is in effect keeping the defenses out of 8-man boxes. Jeff Wilson Jr. is running into fewer 8-man boxes than any of the running backs over the last 3 years with the 49ers. So it is a progression to where it's working. We're spreading it out, and part of that was Tevin Coleman adding what he did in the last game, getting to the edge. I think you're right on about what it's going to take to beat Atlanta. Do you have a quick prediction on who the breakout player is on offense? Is it George Kittle?
Breakout player, I'm hoping it will be George Kittle. But I like that prediction. But I can almost guarantee Debo. Because last week he was covered.
From Debo?
A lot of yak coming from Debo because he was stuffed last week other than that touchdown. He had 2 receptions.
I will take it. See, look at what I'm fighting here. J. Cruz 24, who's very friendly here, says if we lose this game, we cannot allow Rob to attend any more games this season. Let's be clear about this, ladies and gentlemen. I have been to a lot of winning games. God, my own channel's betraying me here. This is completely unacceptable, Alan. We got to change this around. We need a win this weekend. Are you with me on that?
Oh, I'm with you. It's gonna final score. I'm actually gonna throw it out this time. 30-10 Niners. Just 30-10. Absolutely creaming them. 3 sacks of Mariota, one of them for a fumble that we recover.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Great prediction. I hope it comes true. The win is all I care about, but I look forward to catching up with you again in the future, Alan.
You too. Have a great evening.
Hey, you too. Take care. All right, we are bringing in Jaguayo56 to the stream. Jaguayo, welcome in. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, Rob?
I'm doing very well, and love what Harold has come in to say. Yes, I'm all smiles here, Harold. He says we're just having fun with Rob. Yes, we are. Gold-Blooded, though, does ask. I've seen this now. I hadn't heard of it, that maybe it's going to be a whiteout as far as 49ers fans attempting to wear white. I need to look this up to see if this is real or whether it's just happening in my chat here, people talking about it. I do have a white Kittle jersey. It is way too big for me. It's one of those that somebody got me as a gift one time. They got me the wrong size, couldn't return it. So I keep it to wear it like over a raincoat if I go to a game where I got to layer up. But in this one, I don't think that's going to be the case. So I may just be wearing a way too big jersey if it is a whiteout.
Hey, whatever it takes, Rob.
That's right. Whatever it takes to win. And that's the question here. What is it going to take to win in this one?
We're just going to have to play a cleaner game. I was a little disappointed that we had 9 penalties last game. So we have to be a little bit cleaner. And also, of course, Jimmy, is the X factor. He's always going to be the X factor all the time. Going forward, he's going to be the X factor. Yeah, our defense, we know what our defense can do. But Jimmy is the one that controls everything. He's the one that when he has a clean game, everything just seems to function better. And Kyle does a stronger play calling game when Jimmy is on. I think he gets him in a rhythm.
Yes, when they're both operating with confidence, it's a notable difference.
Yes, and so I think that's what's going to be the difference. It's going to be, now we've been scoring, and that makes me feel a lot more confident. Every game is its own different type of style. Everything happens in its own different way. And
Yes.
I'm just, Mariota has been playing pretty good.
Yeah, these are not blowouts for Atlanta, correct?
No, and they've been in almost every game. I mean, last week against Tampa Bay, I mean, Tampa Bay is not a slouch on defense, and they moved. I know they were held down a little bit, but except for that bad call on Brady, man, that was terrible call.
Yes.
But other than that, I think they're doing pretty good. They got decent runners.
They do. Cordarrelle Patterson being out is a big one for us, especially how depleted we are on defense, because David Lombardi was pointing out he's leading the league in efficiency metrics as far as his run game, DVOA. So it is helpful with the Niners down some that Atlanta is also down their primary back.
Yeah, and also they've been kind of chippy the whole year. So, and I think that has to do with that coach they got, that Arthur Smith, right? I think he brought a new attitude to the Falcons. So
yeah,
we cannot take anything for granted. And I don't know if that Pitts tight end, is he going to play? Do you know if he's going to play or we don't know?
It seems to be trending in the direction of Pitts playing. That's my interpretation of how the practice reports are going to this point.
And then that other rookie wideout also from USC, was he?
Yeah.
What's his name? London?
What was that again?
London.
Drake London?
Yeah.
Yep.
He's
that should be a factor for sure.
Yeah. So we're going to get tested, but I think that overall, like, again, and the thing about it is I'm so happy because we've had these conversations even before the season started. And one of the main things that would always come up is, what the hell are we going to do offensive line, especially after the center retired, Mac retired. We were like, oh my God, what are we going to do?
Right.
And pleasantly surprised. Again, I know they've been a little bit up and down, Burford especially, and I know especially against the Rams, but you can see it gelling. And then, hopefully when Trent Williams comes back, whenever that is, and I mean, Jalen Moore, yeah, he gets a lot of grief from a lot of the fans.
He does.
But, hey, it's either sink or swim. He's got to do it. And
that's right.
As long as we help him, with some chips, with George or Werner or somebody helping him out, and the quick throws and yak and all that kind of rhythm of the offense, I think we can get by with it. And I think we can get extremely good game from these people against Kansas City. Not that I'm looking forward to past.
You're not skipping Atlanta here, are you? We got to get this one. That's for sure.
Yeah. But what I'm saying, basically, my point is that they've been doing a great job for being rookie guys. I mean, think about it. It's just amazing to me.
I agree. And we've been able to get Brunskill in some series, right? Which gets the rust off of him just in case we get to a point where he's needed to fill in at any one of those interior spots. I agree with you about Jalen Moore that you see ups and downs from him. You have seen some atrocious play, but it reminds me very much of Ambry Thomas, where you've seen enough flashes. You've seen games where he performs well, and therefore the talent that he has. It's just an issue of, getting flustered, losing your confidence. When something begins to roll downhill, you get that snowball effect. You get the quicksand effect. And that seemed to be what happened the first game that he was thrown back out there because of Colton McKivitz being injured. But I have faith in some ability. Kyle Shanahan scheming around it, chipping, having one of the backs in the backfield protecting. I'm with you on that. I think that the offensive line has done well to this point. Do you have a prediction of how this one breaks out, or who the breakout player might be for the 49ers?
I'm probably going to say that I would say offensively, I think it's going to be Ayuk. I think he's gonna come through with a bigger game this game against Atlanta, especially because everybody's paying attention to Debo.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're worried about the running game. Now they're kind of especially last week's game against the Panthers, you know that the defensive coordinator for the Falcons is probably looking and saying, "Hey, we cannot allow the Niners to start running on us."
That's right.
So I think it's going to open it up a little bit more for Ayuk, and I think he's gonna break out. I think he's going to be the breakout offensive player. That's my feeling.
I love that prediction. How do you think it breaks out score wise?
I think I'm going to say 28-17.
Okay. I like it. Close, but still a 2-score win at the end. I'll take that. That would be a nice finish for the 49ers. I'd love to see them break 30 again, but I do think that this is going to be closer than people might expect, and it could take a big play here or there. If we play a mistake-free game and we turn out around 28 points, I'll be happy.
Yes, and the other thing about it is that when you can win away, and especially because their crowd is going to be juiced up,
yes,
at the beginning, and so you just got to take that first punch, and then come back, settle down, go into your offense, make your plays, and then that'll take the crowd out of it. And but that's about it. Thank you again for taking my calls, Rob, and hey, you have a safe trip. Enjoy yourself and bring home a win.
I am bringing home that W. That is the mission. And thank you so much. I hope you also have a blessed evening and your family as well. Always enjoy speaking with you.
All right, Rob. You take care.
All right. Take care, and we'll talk again soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, we have a couple of comments to bring in. Then Swan Song is coming into the program. You know him. You love him. Kevin coming in. Sneakerhead here on the channel. He says, Rob, is Alan E. the Eliza guy that's on the channel? He seems a beardy, cool guy and love his take under the internet gun of facts on Tinterweb. I love the fact that it's calling out. Yes, it is this one and the same. Alan coming back in, Sneakerhead here on the channel to say that was a lot of fun to talk with you, Rob. Kevin, thank you. And yes, it is me here. Much love and respect to you. Kittle that like button, y'all. Yeah, kittle the like button. I mean, do the good deed for sure. But I'm liking the interaction there. That is just my kind of Niner camaraderie. All right, let's get Swan Song in here and talk Niners football. Swan Song, what is going on, my man?
What's up, Rob? I'm out of developer hell, so I'm free. So anyways,
I've been developer hell. That seems positive.
I've been, the last 2 weeks have been insane. So I've missed shows and anyways, I'm out of that now. I see the light at the end of the tunnel, so I'm feeling good.
Hey, the light at the end of the tunnel is important, man. That's very important.
So yeah, so the Niners are, I have a lot of positive things to say about them. One thing is that I've noticed from this season, like, right when we saw when Jimmy was going to come in, and then they had 2 games in a row where they were rushing under 100 yards, and you're like, oh, here we go again, right? Here we go again.
And running into 8 and 9 man boxes.
Yeah, and they've made adjustments to that, right? And they've gotten their running game going now in the last 2 games. I mean, it's really good that it's almost like it took them less time so far this year when they were figuring it out last year, to get the offensive going. I think some of that I have to give credit to Jimmy for throwing outside the numbers few times, keeping teams honest, because that's what that's our biggest criticism around Jimmy, right? Like, hey, if you don't take these deep shots, it's kind of fundamental, at least fundamental for me as I've watched football all this time, is like, you have to take the deep shots so they respect you and they're not keep on cramming the box. And it's better that you complete these passes. Obviously they have, and teams have backed off. But saying all that, I'm still I've told you this before, that I always kind of observe a team every year, game by game.
Yes,
I never want to just give it to them, right? I have to see, even after a championship, I'm gonna always keep a standard for them to meet, to see if, hey, are they meeting that or are they going below that, right? And this year it's hard because you can argue that, I know the whole NFL is, besides maybe 3 or 4 teams, are struggling on offense, right? That's been kind of the trend, right? Scoring's been down. You look at these games, it's just, that's been kind of the trend, right? I know some people have said that maybe it's because it's the the work with safeties and with they're doing to kind of disguise things. It's kind of getting people, offensive more, take the underneath stuff, and it's not as explosive. But with all that said, backtracking is I still don't know about this team just because I'm skeptical on our opponents, right? And
the ones that we've played to this point.
Yeah, and although I like every time I say, you know what, the Denver game is going to be the real litmus test, right? And then you see Denver, and you're like, okay, we lost that game, and it was a close game, but then you want to see what Denver does after that, right?
Yeah,
and they
you have to see what kind of team they are.
Yeah, and they haven't done squat. So obviously that was a false litmus test, right? Granted, I think their D is legit, but when you have a bad offense, it doesn't, like, a D, like, it's kind of hard to judge that, right? But so then you have the Rams, right? And I go, oh, the Rams are going to be the litmus test for sure. They're going to be the litmus test. And then you're like, okay, we look good against the Rams, but let's see what they do next week, right? And then next week they're anemic on offense. They have they have the second worst offense in the league as far as efficiency is concerned. I'm looking at my
talking
little
about the Rams.
Yeah, they're second to they're second worst compared to the Panthers. And these two have been our last two opponents.
Yeah.
Right. So with that said, even with saying that, I still think the D from my eye test is legit. Like,
yes, that's legit. My point. Is like, number one, I make the case that even the difference between first and 31st and at first and 32nd within the league is not as wide of a disparity as most would play it out to be. And I think that you may be closer to alignment on that with me, but I agree that you have to appreciate what this defense has been able to do. You can only play the teams that are in front of you, and you have to take that into account. You do have to consider the competition. I think it's fair to say that I'm still waiting to confirm some things, but they've passed the eye test. I see with my own two eyes how special this defense is.
Yeah, and even for the offense too. Like I said, I like the fact that Jimmy's throwing outside the numbers. I like the fact that we have a running game, and I think this offense, this interior offensive line, dare I say it, is better than last year. Like I think they
to
are.
This point, that's fair because the interior was struggling to start last year.
Yep.
And so, I want to say with Jimmy Garoppolo, I feel like he has three areas of weakness, right? The inability or unwillingness to push the ball outside the numbers and down the field, the seeming unwillingness to throw the ball away when that would be the smarter play. And when pressure is directly in his face, he will occasionally chuck it right into double coverage instead of simply taking the sack in that moment. And while it is incremental improvement, I do feel like Jimmy Garoppolo is showing himself to be slightly better in all three of those areas so far this year. Yeah. Small sample size, but looking better.
And I also want to warn everyone, like we know, you put up the Jimmy cycle of revenge. You know what I'm talking about?
It's coming. Bad Jimmy cycle is coming.
Yeah, it's gonna come.
Just like another Halloween movie is coming at some point. Right. Bad Jimmy's coming again.
Yeah. So what we're getting right now is a treat. Enjoy it while we can. You know it's coming. Don't be losing your crap because we've seen it 6 years in a row, boys.
It's on the horizon. It's coming. Yeah. Know that for a fact. Don't be surprised when it shows up.
Right. So the thing is, with all this positivity, with all this stuff happening positively, and then now the injury bug has to reap its head, and like that is the biggest concern for me. Like coming up to this Atlanta game. Okay, so Atlanta, what have they been doing? They've been getting blown out in the first half, and then miraculously coming back in the second half. I think I've seen at least 2 or 3 games where Atlanta has come back where you're like, oh, they're getting blown out, and they're like, what? They had a chance to win the game. They did it again with Tampa, right? I think they've done it 3 times this year, at least 2, but I think it's 3. And so they have a running game. They have like a top running game, right? So that's going to be interesting to see without Kinlaw, without Armstead. I know that we're holding up well right now.
But, Kevin Givens and Hassan Ridgeway have been holding their own, and it's fair to wonder if we've really had a big test yet.
Right. It's fair to wonder where we had a big test, and then also fatigue. With those 2 guys missing, it's gonna it's going to wear down on the players that you do have, right?
It's more snaps for everybody.
So yeah, so I wish the Niners should still win this game. They do not have a passing game really. Like Kyle Pitts is banged up. Drake, I like that Drake London kid.
Drake London, yeah.
Yeah, I like that kid because even when he's covered, he makes catches. Like
he's got a legit catch radius for sure.
He is sneaky good. So it sucks losing Mosley. God, it sucks. I'm hopeful for everything else. I think Bosa should not play. If he's not 99.9%, he shouldn't play.
Yeah.
It's like look
I
at his brother.
hear you.
His brother.
Yeah, you can't afford that.
Yeah.
The loss of Bosa for half the season would change my opinion of how far this team could go, especially if it happened about now heading into one of the tougher stretches of the season.
Right. And we're in the driver's seat. We have a 1.5 game lead on the entire division. Well, 1 on Arizona and 1.5 on Seattle and the Rams. Right.
Yep.
So we should get this game. I hope we don't have to play Bosa unless we have to. It's a huge game. And Casey is scary and all, but hey, the Raiders almost beat him. So it's like, come on. Like, you know what I mean? It's like
they're not unbeatable by
yeah.
any stretch of the imagination. We have this, sort of a curse looming over us because of what happened in the Super Bowl that we feel they're unbeatable, but it's not an insurmountable task. That's for sure. We have the horsepower to be able to take down Kansas City.
Yeah. And then I'm looking forward to, as all these injuries have been, piling on week to week, some of the ones that happened earlier in the season, we should be getting back those guys pretty soon. Like maybe I don't know. Have they said anything about Elijah Mitchell coming back for KC? Possibly. I know.
No, they have not. I mean, I had only heard, the initial prognosis. So I'm still thinking that he's not back until after the bye week.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, Jeff Wilson's doing a pretty good job.
He is. He's handling business.
Trent, we don't know if he's going to be back. I mean, he
was jogging. Injury, right? I think it's fair to say he'll be back for KC. I think that's probably the game he's pushing for. And if not, definitely the game against the Rams in SoFi.
Yeah, because these next 3 to 4 games are actually pretty tough, right? I think we have KC, we have Arizona, we have the Chargers, and we have the Rams again. And not in that order. I'm saying
we go KC, Rams, bye, and then we come back for the other 2.
Okay, so yeah, this is a tough stretch, man.
It is. This is it. Like this is where the season will be over the next 7 weeks. This is where the season will be made or lost. I think that the Chargers game is going to be a very tough one going up against Justin Herbert and that defense, which I think is a better defense than what they've shown to this point. Certainly, KC's a tough matchup. LA, after getting embarrassed in the last one, will attempt to make a game out of it, and division games can be tight. So the same goes for the one up against Arizona. I think that this is really where we find out what the Niners are made of, and I believe we will come out of it realizing that they are who we thought they are.
Yeah, and the thing about it too is that we can get lucky. Hey, we've had a string of bad luck, so let's get a string of good luck to happen for us, right? Not having any injuries, get the ball to bounce our way, and these things. And if we come out, like I'm just being a homer here, if we just come out 4-0 or 3-1, we are in the driver's seat of the division, and then the rest of the way it gets a lot easier. So
that would be so nice to be in control or feel as if we were in control this early on.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons why, what's funny is like for me, every time that I'm very optimistic is when I have so many question marks about the team that I can only be optimistic. And then sometimes I'm the most pessimistic is when the team has no holes and you look at every little thing going, oh my God. Like, you know what I mean? Like go back to training camp when everything was so positive. Anything happened, like one player with a groin injury or anything, we're like, oh, there it goes. Oh my God.
That's the end of our season. Yeah, it started again.
It's like training camp, dude.
How can we ever get through training camp healthy? Fire Shanahan. Yeah. No, the madness is real. Let me tell you. Well, hey, Swan, it's going to be a good game. I'm looking forward to it. Man, I hope that we're talking about a win next week, breaking it down.
Yes, please. Yeah, thanks for having me and thanks for being back.
Absolutely. A pleasure talking to you, Swan.
All right, take it easy.
Bye-bye. All right, we're getting it. Bullpup 33, and then CJ Gray, then William Bennett, then Sean 9519ers. We've got an all-star crew coming up. Got to get in Chris Royal super chat here. Obviously, Sneakerhead here on the channel says, Rob, I appreciate you, my man. Thanks for the great content. As always, hit that like button, y'all, for my dude and his amazing coverage. Chris, thank you for that. The kind words, especially from people that I know, that I've associated with, it means a great deal. I have fun on this channel. I love the interaction. I think that comes through in what I do. Anytime I show this channel to anybody who watches it, they're like, man, your face lights up when you're talking about this. Like, you enjoy what you're doing. And I say, yes, I do. Hey, Sue's coming in with the question, Rob, do you think Mercedes-Benz Stadium will be better than Levi's? Judging by the pictures, yeah, unfortunately, I think I do. You're my boy, Blue. Luke Luna. Let me tell you this. So I answer all my comments on the channel. And I don't know, it was a couple of months ago. Luke Luna came in just to show a little bit of love. And there was a heart comment, right? And it just positivity, man. I'm here for positivity. A like, basically. I answer all the comments until I get back to that one so that I have sitting at the top of it, Luke Luna, and a little bit of love coming in, man. I keep that positivity at the forefront. And I just wanted to share that. I don't know why, Luke, but now you know. You're my boy, Blue. All right. Bringing in Bullpup 33 to the stream. Bullpup, how are you doing?
Roberto Zapato, how are you, my man?
I'm good. I'm feeling like, hey, coming off of a win, sitting in first place. I've got my health back, right? I got the voice is healed. Things are on a positive trend, my friend. And you know me, I appreciate the positivity. I'm here for the journey. It's not all about the destination, ladies and gentlemen. It is about the journey, because most of your life is going to be spent waiting for something, journeying towards something, working towards a goal. You got to appreciate those moments, or you are wasting that vast majority of your time. And that time is the most precious commodity that we all have. So I'm here for the fact that we are on a journey with this 49ers team. It's a tumultuous one, and it's one that I'm going to enjoy every freaking bump and bruise and fantastic moment along the way.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, because I really think sometimes as fans, and it's only, natural. It's our way of having fun, but
yes,
we should take it, really, we should enjoy and savor, just like a good meal, the entree, the potatoes, the meat, the whatever it is, sides, and then the dessert, a little bit of wine. Just savor each and every single game. Yes. Don't get too ahead of yourself. Let's just focus on Atlanta. Let's savor it. Let's have fun, and just take it easy, one game at a time, like they do in the pros.
Yes.
Don't. I know it's tempting to start thinking, oh, yeah, if we win these next 20 games, we'll win the Super Bowl. No, I mean, come on, right?
Yes. Yeah,
so,
that is the temptation, and you can't. As a player, if you do that, you overlook a fierce opponent. They take advantage of it, and you drop a game that you should have otherwise won. And as a fan, you come out wondering what happened. Whereas if you go into it acknowledging this is the NFL, any given Sunday, anything can happen. There's a lot of parity in this league, and that team may be ranked a lot lower than the Niners, but you know what? They have $200 million worth of freaking talented athletes on their squad as well, and they're capable any given Sunday of giving you the best that they've got.
Oh yeah, even in the glory days, where it's always trap games or games that they should have blown them out, but they didn't.
Yes,
it's just. Those are professional athletes we're going up against each and every single Sunday.
Yes, they are. They get paid a lot of money to do what they do. Grady Jarrett is going to be a ferocious force on the interior of that defensive line. That's going to be a real test for the young law firm in the middle of the 49ers offensive line. And then they face another one coming up against KC. So you cannot overlook Grady Jarrett this week. This is good practice and not good practice. This is an important game, and you can't overlook the opponent.
No, always. And, and how many games have you seen where, like somebody else mentioned earlier, they said that Atlanta has just been hanging around. How many games have you seen where the other one team goes up and the other team doesn't put them away, and they come back and make a game of it?
And how many times have we seen our team be that team that is unable to put their foot on the opponent's neck? I agree. It's a very dangerous way to play a game. And sometimes it feels as though Kyle can lean into that kind of game. He says to himself, ooh, this one's coming out as a tight one. It's a defensive matchup. I don't want to make any mistakes. And he then tightens up in his play calling. And I can sense that the rest of the players on offense tend to tighten up as well. And I fear for that situation because in my experience, those are the times where Jimmy makes the poorest decisions, is when he feels tight, when he feels like the game is on his shoulders and he's not loose, he's not slinging it.
Would you say that he was loose last game?
I thought he was fairly loose in last game. I thought that he got off to a good start, and that bodes well for Jimmy Garoppolo. If he can get in early, get a little bit of confidence, and get himself hit once or twice without getting injured, that seems to shake him up, and then he plays pretty well for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I always thought his injury back in 2018 caused a long-lasting psychological effect on Jimmy.
I agree.
Because he always, on the interviews after the injury and when he came back, there was always a sense of, oh, this brace is going to be with me forever. And so I always thought that he was a little hesitant throughout the rest of his career, playing tight, not to hurt himself. And it's only natural. As much as he wants to stare down players, take the hit.
Yep.
But I'm not saying that he's weak. Not at all.
No. I think many people would respond that way to an injury of that sort.
Yeah, he's there's a reason why he's liked in the locker room.
Yes, absolutely. And referred to as a reasonably tough guy. Like, I know that interview came out from the Patriots. That was pretty damning. Those were teammates that were taking some joy in calling Jimmy soft, right? Literal teammates. That's not been the case in San Francisco. And people seem to get their feathers riled up a little bit when someone suggests otherwise. So I think it's a very real feeling, a very real enjoyment of Jimmy as a player, as a teammate.
Yep. It's funny that you mentioned, since we got Jimmy in the locker room. Did you see the interview after the game with George Kittle?
No, I read the transcript. I have not watched it, though.
Watch it. Tell me if you don't see a half-naked Jimmy G in the background blurred.
I would think if that had happened that it would blow up on the internet. There's a whole wide swath of people of all sorts that would very much like to line up and see Jimmy Garoppolo half clothed. I know this be the case because ladies are volunteering that. Ladies and gentlemen are volunteering that information all over the place.
Yeah, it was. I couldn't tell who it was. It kind of looked like him. He had the dark hair.
Okay.
He had the build, and then he put on a black shirt, which was what he was wearing in a press conference.
Hey, I'll let you know. I'll let you know if that's my opinion that we're seeing, a sparsely clothed Jimmy Garoppolo. That's a sign of good luck. That's like catching a leprechaun, if you ask me.
There you go. Go.
Nice. Who's going to win in this one? What do you see as the final breakdown against Atlanta?
Well, I knew they were going to hit 30 last time. I saw it. And I told you with the help of the defense, they were going to hit 30. Our defense being shorthanded. If we don't beat ourselves.
No mistakes.
No mistakes. It's going to be a fairly bread and butter game. I'm not saying it's not going to be exciting. I'm just saying it's not going to be anything flashy on the scoreboard. It's going to be like a one possession game, but it's not. Maybe the end score might be a one possession game, but I don't think we're going to. It's going to be kind of like the last game where we won.
Yeah, so it's going to feel like it shouldn't be a one-possession game. We're going to dominate the yards and things like that, but at the end, it's going to feel like it was a little bit closer.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
That makes sense. Very nice. Well, I hope that we are here celebrating a win, because otherwise there'll be talk about this streak that we are on of me going to games and not getting that dub. I would like to point out the magical Green Bay game that I was at where we got that win, but I do need to break the streak to end
But that was a playoff game.
Oh, no, don't tell me you are on this train as well, Bullpup. This is unfortunate. This is highly unfortunate.
Well, I'll tell you what. On a more positive side, let's finish this way.
End it on a positive.
Let's end it on a positive. So not only we are in, first place in our division.
Yes.
We're above 500.
Yep.
We're not 4-0, but we're there. But we do have one thing, one feather in our cap.
Yes.
We're directly responsible for getting a coach fired this season.
We caused the first fire sale of the NFL. We sparked that blaze. Good way to end this one on a positive, Bullpup.
I want to continue that trend.
Yes. Let's get another one fired. Let's do it. 2 weeks in a row. Bullpup, it's always a pleasure talking to you, my friend.
All right, man. Good one.
I'll see you next week. Take care. All right, we are keeping the same order that we had there. I know CJ Gray had to change his laptop. We have CJ Gray, William Bennett, Sean 9519ers to close this out. We got Jaguayo 56 with the super chat. Rob, we as faithful are really lucky to have a great content creator such as yourself. We go through tough times, and when I talk to you, my spirit rises. The absolute same can be said for me, that I also go through tough times. I have gone through some pretty significant tough times over this past calendar year, and being here on this channel, interacting with those of you that call in, reading out your comments in the chat, just sharing these moments with fellow 49er faithful lifts my spirits as well. So I just want to say thank you for that to everyone, but in particular, thank you so much for calling that out. All right, we are bringing in CJ Gray to the stream. CJ, how you doing, my friend? How you feeling about last week and the upcoming game against Atlanta? You were there for the shellacking in Carolina, my friend.
Yeah, it was officially the takeover. From before we even got in the gates, lining up at the gates, it was just a whole bunch of us. When you got in the stadium, you look wrapped around the stadium. On the front row, there's just Niners people, Niner gear is just going off. Essentially, Debo scored that big touchdown in the I think it was the third quarter, and from the slant from Jimmy, and basically he caught it. The ball, he was basically coming my direction and caught it. And then when he got up, he came to where we were sitting, our section. We Debo. I think you can even hear it in the broadcast.
Yes.
Wow. For it, because I watched some of the broadcast of it later on. But to get into, I just start with the negatives, and then because there's a lot of positives, so I want to end on the positive trail.
I like that choice. I like that choice a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah, and so we start with drops from Debo Samuel. We got a couple of them. Dropped the tunnel string that looked like it was well set up. Also dropped a pass coming on in the middle of the field that seemed like that was pretty well set up to do something there. He redeemed himself in the end zone, but the play before that, he probably put the ball on the ground there too.
It's intriguing. You can offset those two things about Debo Samuel, and it creates a balanced picture. One, look at the percentage of his yards that come after the catch this year. It's ridiculous. And add those drops that we have had for the 49ers onto. Someone did this project on Twitter where they went through and took all the drops in the NFL and went through as if they had been catches, and you got the appropriate number of average yards after the catch according to that team. In doing so, when you add in these ghost catches, Jimmy Garoppolo becomes the most efficient quarterback in the NFL. So, I mean, I'm not making that argument. The statistics do in this scenario that you lay out. So the drops are a real issue. But to your point, Debo's so special, he is racking up the yak.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna make big plays. That stuff is forgivable, but it's gotta stuff that like that's gotta improve, because that seems to be showing up a lot throughout the season, and we're leaving yards on the field. There was a couple turnover worthy throws by Jimmy. I had initially counted 3, but I guess ultimately I kind of land on 1, particularly when he threw the deep ball to Danny Gray, and that could have been intercepted easily because it hit the defender in the hands.
Right.
I think the other 2 were kind of one, Debo probably not flattening out on his route to give Jimmy a better throw, and then I think it was kind of Jimmy's fault because he threw it behind him under the goal line under that quick, where he turned around real quick and threw it.
Yeah.
Like he kind of threw it blindly. I was kind of scared, man. It's kind of scary, you know.
That is kind of a Jimmy G type of thing to do.
And so you take those kind of things out, and then of course the injuries. The injuries is a real bad thing, especially Emmanuel Mosley.
That's a tough one to swallow. By the way, Chris Royal coming in here with the super chat just to say what's up to you, CJ. And we got Luke Luna coming in with the super sticker as well. Luke, I'm going to read out your comment from earlier because I found that to be fantastic. I'm going to do that in between callers as we get to William Bennett next. But I tend to agree with what you're saying there. It is. I would say this. I'm very comfortable with where we are coming out of Carolina. The injuries, for the most part, feel like we can overcome them. What say you to the idea of, have any of these injuries that have happened so far hurt our chances at what we can do this season? Or do we have the level of reserves available that even the one to E-man, you got Jason Verrett, you got Diamador Lenore, can we sustain this so long as we don't have too many more season-ending injuries?
The Emmanuel Mosley injury is devastating.
It's huge.
I just think it's really understated because we're like, well, we got Jason Verrett coming back, but there's no guarantees. We don't really know what kind of state Jason Verrett really is in, and we know that E-man was out there locking down, and that's something that we tangibly know that was happening, especially with the pick 6 in the game. In a game that we really, even though we were dominating the game, it still kind of felt a little Chicago-ish before that pick 6 because we sat there, we drove down, was up 10-3. Jimmy threw a couple of wild passes, and then that drive just kind of stalled out, and then the field goal got blocked. Carolina got the football back, and they was going to get the ball back in the second half too.
Could have gotten a 2-for-1.
Yeah, and that was a very scary sequence. And then Emmanuel Mosley comes through with the pick 6, and it's just really, it's a momentum swing that really stayed strong with us for the rest of the game, and that's what kind of worried me with the negative portion too, is that we don't, when we're riding the momentum real hard, or we're getting the yards, or we look dominant, that the scoreboard is not reflecting that wild ass.
Yes. You can't do that against the greater competition that we're going to come up against. That can serve you against Carolina. You can get away with that. We almost got away with that against Denver, right? Lesser competition, that's one thing. You allow a real monster team to stay in it like that in a game that you should be dominating, a game where physically you are dominating. It's just not being reflected on the scoreboard. That's going to cost you actual wins in the win column, and we can't afford that.
Yes. And transition into the positives. Jimmy Garoppolo, again, I've mentioned his name in the negative category, but I'm going to actually mention his name in the positive category.
Yeah.
Which is not something I typically do.
This is rare. Hit the record button right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, but man, he hit some nice tight window throws.
Didn't he?
That was real precision, especially Brandon Ayuk.
That was a gorgeous throw.
And that was a very, very, very high level throw. It was very surprising, but it was real nice. And then the throws to actually taking shots downfield with the football. I know that one almost got intercepted, but you must take these shots because you must. And now that gets the defense off of your back, and it allows some of those plays that Jimmy is good at. And now if you don't have defense crammed all in the middle of the field, they're like, hey, he might throw it down there.
Right.
Now you got some of the better opportunities for yourself within the offense when you take those chances.
And honestly, when you take those chances, even if the one to Danny Gray gets intercepted, that is not the same as chucking it to the linebacker in the middle of the field, who then takes it 40 yards back the other way because he's got the momentum. If the safety or the corner catches it there, it's most likely down at that spot, and it's a short punt, right? It's not as problematic. The defense can come back and save you from those. So I would much rather have the turnover on a deep pass like that.
And then the running attack. The running game was strong. I know Jeff Wilson, man, I'm on record criticizing this man, and now he is just balling out, man.
Yeah, he's like, listen, CJ, I heard your criticisms, and let me show you what I still got in the tank.
There live of the very first drive, and he's streaking down on the opposite side of the home side of the field, and I'm like, man, that can't be Jeff Wilson Jr. But
right, he turns around, he's pointing at you in the stands, he's got you.
I'm like, wow. And then, but the scheme of Shanahan and stuff like that, the schematics, the blocking, the execution to get the holes open for Jeff Wilson Jr. and stuff like that. I mean, honestly, we would have been even more dominant in the run if it wasn't for Jake Brendel. I mean, Brendel was whiffing. A lot of times, I think Brown for Carolina was getting in there a lot. And so, but I really enjoyed what the running game was doing. It seems like our line, for the most part, outside of a handful of plays, really got things blocked up well. Kittle and Juszczyk in the tandem, them two, man, man, people talk about them not producing very much as far as statistics. Man, they kill people in the running game.
They do. I'm telling you right now, the stat came out today at David Lombardi putting it out of running into 8 and 9 man boxes, and Jeff Wilson Jr. is facing fewer than any 49er running back in the past. And that has a lot to do with the 1 or 2 additional shots down the field that are keeping defenses honest, but also keeping things outside of the perimeter. Tevin Coleman and his ability to get around the edge is real. It adds an element to this offense that without a guy like Mostert or using a wide back like Debo, you just don't have. It's important to have a back like that. That's an element that's important to Kyle Shanahan's scheme, I believe.
And I'm seeing more of the throws to the running back. That seemed to be absent in the offense a lot of last year, and it seems. And I don't know if that's the influence of Anthony Lynn or not, because he's really known for having those types of plays in his offense.
Yeah, he got Austin Eckler involved, didn't he?
Yeah, and so that's I think I like that addition. And if Tevin Coleman is gonna look like he's looking, man, I didn't see that coming. I was like, he came off the couch looking like this,
right? Dude got cut by who? Like, wait a minute. Yeah,
I was like, man, I first time when he scored, honestly, truthfully, I said, man, who the hell is 28?
I said the same thing. I was like, no way, that's Tevin Coleman. 28's not Tevin Coleman. Damn.
Coleman? What?
Yeah.
And so our defense was real dominant as always. It was real surprising to see how dominant it still was. There's neither one of the defensive tackles in there. No Nick Bosa, but we got Drake Jackson. We got Ebicom stepping up.
And Charlie Omenihu, I think he is going to be the breakout player of this group. I just think he is a stud, and sign that man to a long-term deal now before he gets more expensive.
He is just, man, he's a terror up in there.
Yep.
But overall, I was real pleased. It was the first time in 4 games I was actually able to go to a game where I didn't get rained on, and that was awesome. Not to get rained on, and
that's awesome.
I haven't had much luck going to games live and leaving victorious. It's been far in between doing that, so it was just extremely satisfying. The one of the last bigger plays that I wanted to mention before going out was the Jimmy G to Juwan Jennings, the 32-yarder.
Yes,
that the way it looked live is just like you can schematically see it. You see Jennings come open, and you can see when Jimmy threw the ball versus where Jennings was, and how the ball was hitting stride, and then he gets in and just starts aggressively throwing people off of him, running through people, and then And then when he got pushed out of bounds, the way he spiked the ball out of bounds in front of us, it was just like he was a savage, man. I was just like,
he fires me up so much when he's going like that. And that's contagious energy. That's the kind of thing that catches the entire offense on fire.
All right, man. But that's pretty much all I got for the Carolina game. If quickly transition to the Atlanta game, because
give me a quick score prediction. I got to hit up William Bennett and Sean 951 and Quesadilla Thriller before we get out. But hit me with what you think about Atlanta.
No score prediction. Just looking for us tackle this week. Tackle, because that is something that our defense was not strong at doing in the second half with Christian McCaffrey and running. There's a lot of people trying to go for the finishing moves on the football field and abandoning fundamentals and tackling. So the most important thing in the Atlanta game is they're going to run it a lot. They're going to do a lot of quarterback runs and a lot of running in general. Tackle, tackle, tackle.
I love that prediction. Fundamentally sound football on defense. That's the way to play it, in particular against a mobile quarterback. Marcus Mariota, don't get fooled. The guy still does have wheels. The Niners have struggled against that. Fundamentally, being in your lane on the pass rush, going to be important as well. I agree with you, though. Tackling will be paramount. Well, I hope that we're coming back next week to talk about another victory wherein this streak is over, CJ. I'm coming back from Atlanta, bringing a dub with me. Fingers crossed, my friend.
I hope so.
I will see you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care. All right. We are bringing William Bennett into the stream. Just got to bring in Luke Luna's comments here. Sneakerhead here on the channel. This is the one from earlier. He says, love my boy, Rob. There's really nothing not to love about you. Those that struggle with that, it's more about them. Love this channel. Can always count on forward thinking and love in your work. Just appreciate that. You know I'm here for the positivity and take compliments very, very much to heart. Luke Luna with the super chat coming in. Off topic, I'd love to tattoo and meet you someday soon. That's going to happen, Luke. Obviously, absolutely is what I'm trying to say. On topic, with Eric and Kinlaw in and out likely, working out and signing Alex Mack for the playoffs, line stability on both sides, make a run. So here's what I will say. Yes, right now we have Eric Armstead and Kinlaw out. It does hurt us on depth. Both will be back. I'm waiting to see on Kinlaw. Who knows if it's going to be something that is continually an issue. The Ndamukong Suh I hadn't considered, but someone else had mentioned to me this Alex Mack idea. And it is fair to wonder if he said to himself, I don't want my last year to be learning a new quarterback, a mobile quarterback, one that I'm not familiar with. It's going to be a pain in my butt. I'm old. I just got married. I'm going to retire. You come back to Alex Mack this isn't a trade, right? So you can sign him at any time as long as he undoes his retirement paperwork if he did file it. You come back to him and say, hey, we're making one more run. It's Jimmy. You know how to work with Jimmy. You come back. That one has merit to me. I absolutely believe there's a possibility that the reason he sat out was not to learn a new system and that he may be open to it. All right, do me that favor. Hit the like button because you know who we're bringing in right now. It's William Bennett. We haven't had him on the stream for a while, and we have missed him. William, welcome to the stream, my friend. Cheers to you, my brother. It's good to see you.
Hey, how you doing, Rob? How's everything?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. You know, the season so far, up and down a little bit, but right now feels like we are on that upswing. I'm feeling confident. Injuries that we got to battle through, but I see the reinforcements as being capable, and that gives me hope.
Facts. First off, like I said, it's been a while since I've been here. Glad to be back. Just been really busy with work, and of course, I coach youth football, so my time has just been really, really sparingly. So,
how's the squad doing? They doing okay?
They're doing okay. We have a lot of new ones, so we're just trying to get them up to speed and just play and have fun the best we can.
Nice. Very important to have fun at that age. I'll say I played 1 year of Pop Warner football. I was a kid that was small for my age, so that was a mistake and a half. Let me tell you, I got knocked around in that league, but it was fun, man. I was on the team with James Franco, the actor. And it was a good time. It was a fun year of football, that's for sure. And that's the most important for the kids, having the fun.
Exactly. Shout out to the fan base, to the faithful. Shout out to the sneakerheads in here holding it down while I've been out. Hey, shout out to my man Chris Royal. He's been doing a bang up job, and nothing but love for him because he always show me love. Um, I just wanted to say, man, you're doing a great job, and I just want to say to everyone who's watching this broadcast, man, Rob is such a great host for us and such a great leader for us in this um, venue because where else can you go and have somebody actually like tour the stadiums, tour the crowds, make you feel like you're actually at the game. You can't find that on anybody else's broadcast, and I've looked, and only with Rob did you get that unique perspective. So we want to thank you, Rob, for that. Some of us don't get to get out to these games. Like I'm in DC, I rarely, rarely get to see the Niners. So, and it can be far and few between. So, appreciate it because it actually makes me feel like I'm actually at the game.
Man, that means a lot. Honestly, coming from you means even more. I appreciate it, and I really do enjoy that. And it means something to know that people can see that and appreciate it. That someone else out there is like, man, I'm glad that Rob's putting forth that content because it is one of those things where I'm like, man, this feels like it would be good. Like if I'm a fan, I know I would this, so I want to put it out. And I just appreciate you saying that, man. And I appreciate Chris Royal coming in, say William OG Bennett boss hoodie. Baby, yes, indeed. That is a dope hoodie. Appreciate Chris coming in to call that up. Yeah, Jay Cruz calling out the fact that, I had that humble name drop. I did. I went to school with James Franco, but I've said that on the channel before, Jay. So I've been humble bragging about that one for a while. Not much of a humble brag. But please, William, how do you see where do you see the Niners at right now? And do you think that this Atlanta game favors us? Will we come out and dominate this one? Or is it going to be pretty close coming up against Atlanta this week?
I don't know if it's going to be a domination. I believe we will win the game. And I think we probably will win the game probably by 10 points or 2 or 14 points. I was a little concerned with the start, and shout out to Trey Lance, man. It's just, hey, man, life is life.
Yeah,
when they say it can't get that much worse, boy, life just says, let me show you something. But so speedy recovery for him, and hey, I do hope he comes back and sets the NFL on fire.
I do too, man. Someone asked earlier about the Tom Brady thing, and sure, I'm never going to write that off because he is Tom Brady, but I just want the original plan. I just want to go to Trey. I believe that is the path forward, and you just got to start at some point.
Yeah, you just want to see that door open. You just want to see, despite where it goes, you just want to see where that path leads. So
that's a fact.
It was rough, seeing him go down like that. But but what can you do?
That's right. It is football. Injuries happen, and it's fair to criticize Shanahan for the frequency he ran him, and I still can't criticize him for the actual injury. I see that as a fluke of the NFL. It's very unfortunate. I have faith that Trey's the type of mentality that if someone can push through it, Trey can.
Yeah, and he's got a great group of guys around him keeping his spirits up. Also, like I said, you can probably scrutinize Kyle for the play calling, but who would thought? You can't predict that his foot would just be twisted like that with a 300-something pound man falling on you. That's That's just the luck of the draw that his foot just got caught in the. And if you see any football player, those cleats get caught into the ground a lot. So sometimes you think, oh, why he just didn't slide? I think Trey was actually trying to slide. I think because it's such a new thing for him, and I know because I hurt my knee sliding in baseball before. So, and because it was new to him, I think he just didn't have it perfected, and his foot just got caught up under him, and everything was happening so fast, and you know,
You
what
could
the
see
right
that.
script
A failed slide would actually drive the foot further, the cleats further into the ground because you missed the angle of the slide. Now you've planted hard on that leg, and then you have a heavy defensive lineman.
And that's what it looked like. It looked like he planted on his back foot trying to go down, and it just 350-pound man, Rice Krispie treat, snap, crackle, pop. So that's what happened.
Brutal. So brutal.
But
and honestly, like I was critical of the organization signing Jimmy Garoppolo. I thought it was going to be a disaster as far as the drama throughout the year. But then we have this, fluke injury that does happen. And all of a sudden it's like, man, how about the foresight of the 49ers and keeping Jimmy G around?
I'll say this. Honestly, I have a lot of Commander fans here in DC who are saying, man, I bet y'all glad y'all kept Garoppolo now. And I always tell them, I bet y'all said y'all didn't get him.
Right.
But
there's a couple teams out there. Pittsburgh, I told you, Pittsburgh, that you wanted to come get Jimmy Garoppolo. You didn't listen to me, and you said, no, we're going to go ahead with Mitchell Trubisky. How's that working out for you? You are at the worst point differential difference in the league. Yeah, there are teams.
See how the coach feels about Carson Wentz already, but I'm gonna leave that alone. But but I mean, I'm happy that Jimmy's there, but I was ready. To be honest, I still hold to my saying that I was ready for Jimmy to be off the team. No offense to any Jimmy fans, no offense to Jimmy. Appreciate him, love him for what he's done for our mob. But I was just ready to turn that page, despite whatever trade would have looked like this year or whatever. I was just ready to turn the page.
At some point.
The thing that I would say with the Niners now, we haven't really been tested. Yes, we're winning games that we should win. We should be right now. We should have not lost the game right now.
Right.
But circumstances are circumstances. With the injuries stacking up where they are, one of the things that people don't remember, when we went to the Super Bowl in 2019, we also incurred injuries throughout that season. But we had is the very thing we have right now. We had depth on the bench. People forget about Streaks and Brunskill and all these people who came in, and we never lost a beat. You couldn't even tell when people were being swapped out, and this was before Bosa. You couldn't tell that people were swapped out because
Staley and McGlinchey out for a couple of games. You had Brunskill in, you had Justin School in,
Ford
and we didn't
out.
miss a beat.
Yeah, Ford out. You had DJ Jones out. You had people out, but you could not tell because the depth with our bench was so stacked. Cause you'd be like, oh, that wasn't Staley. Like you couldn't tell because of the depth. The same way in the running back room. But this is what I do say for this game, because Atlanta, it can be a trap game, but every game can be a trap game.
Yes.
Every team is an NFL team. And on any given Sunday, you can walk out of there with your head held down. You know what I'm saying? So you got to play every game like it's that game. Like if you play every game like it's a playoff game, I promise you will get a better return than just looking, there we got next week. Play every game like there is no next week. You feel what I'm saying?
Yes,
but
you got to win every week in the NFL. Cannot afford to cough up a single game.
Those games, and this is what I'm hoping. It's those games like the Chicago game and the Denver game that I hope do not come back to haunt us.
Yes, I agree.
But it can be those games that just comes back to haunt you, and you like, damn. Because it came back to haunt us last year. Thank you, Trey.
Right. Right.
But I just wanted to say Atlanta isn't the test. I mean, Atlanta's playing out of a lot of heart right now.
Yeah.
And people don't realize Atlanta's playing not bad football. They're really playing hard. And if you go in there sleeping on them, you're gonna be sadly mistaken.
Yeah, you're going to come away with some bruises and a loss.
And so, like I said, our team has been over here in West Virginia. They've been away from family. They've been away from home. They've been away from fans. So right now, when they go down to Atlanta, they got to go off of the strength of the love of team. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah. Camaraderie.
And the thing that I want to also state is Jeff Jeff Wilson Jr., if I'm saying his name correctly.
Yeah.
He's running stellar ball. But if I'm gonna be honest, he is not a every down back to me. He'll give you that first half, he'll give you everything he got. But if after a while, and it's noticeable, he will tire. And his yardage per run will go down.
I think the reemergence of TDP could be very big. The second half, a guy who's a bit of a bruiser in that running style. To your point, Jeff Wilson Jr. can start out the games, and then maybe TDP will be a bit more of that finisher now that he's coming back.
You know who I would like to see in this Atlanta game? Because honestly, I didn't understand why even when we were up, we didn't even we gave Purdy snaps. Why didn't we give Mason any snaps? Even when we were up, and the game was out of, we had the game wrapped up. That would have been a perfect time to see what he can do.
Yeah, it would. And it's clear that there's some trust issue. There's something underneath the surface there.
But you know how Kyle feel about rookies. I've heard that maybe he don't trust his blocking.
Yep.
So
that's what I've heard as well.
That would have been a chance to actually see him. Because I tell people, it's one thing to see it in practice. It's another thing to see it out in a live game on the field.
That's
you feel
absolutely
what I'm saying?
True.
You have some people who perform in practice and get in a game and just like, where's that guy at?
Yeah.
And it goes vice versa. So I would have liked to have seen him during this Atlanta game. I hope that they, somewhere give him a couple carries.
Yeah, I'm worried that he might not even, now that we have Coleman, TDP, and Jeff Wilson Jr., I'm worried he may not actually suit for the game. Hopefully he will for special teams, though, and that then gives him the opportunity to come into the game. I got to close out on Sean 951 Niners, but give me your, what do you think is going to happen up against Atlanta? How is this thing actually going to shake out? If you're predicting the future, William, tell me some good news, because I'm going to be there, and I need to walk away with a dub, my friend.
Debo's gonna do Debo. Kittle's gonna get a couple shots, but he's gonna be mostly blocking because Jalen Moore just that game in Carolina, man. Jalen Moore, he needed all the help he could get. I think Ayuk will have a big game. I think him and Jimmy just got to get on the pace because Ayuk is just not used to Jimmy, and especially not used to Jimmy throwing deep.
No, he's not.
But I think it's gonna be a well-rounded game like we performed against Carolina.
I tend to think so as well. Well, hey, man, I hope you're able to join me next week to break it down. But if you're not, we will certainly be thinking of you, my friend. And we look forward to the next time you're able to join the program, because I always love having you on, always love conversing. And it just is great to see you, my friend. I want to cheers you one more time before you head out. Always a pleasure.
Always.
You take care, my friend. All right, got to close out. We got Sean 951 Niners coming in. That was a phenomenal call right there. Loving it. Sean, welcome to the program, man. On the road, this is a rare view. Usually we got you at the home office. Here you are on the road, man. What are you thinking of the Niners coming off of that win, headed into another should-be winnable game against Atlanta?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was progression again from the offense. That's all I'm looking for. I don't need to see anything else out of the defense. I'm not worried about any of the injuries anybody's seeing or talking about. We have enough depth to get through them against Atlanta. Atlanta doesn't have Cordell Patterson, so that gets rid of the majority of their number one punch. A couple other guys that can run, but who cares? I mean, the 49ers defense is the 49ers defense. I don't care who the running backs are. They're not good enough to make a difference unless we make mistakes. So I'm going to count on the defense doing their job. E-Man sucks in regard to playing better teams. He's going to suck again, not having against Kansas City and not having against the Chargers, against Brady and Tampa and things of that nature. It may show up unless Verrett comes back and is not the Verrett of 2019. He's the Verrett of 2020.
Right.
As long as he's that Verrett, then it doesn't matter. We're not even at a loss because Verrett was just as good as E-Man, if not better, when he was at the top of his game. If he can't,
in 2020, for sure.
Yeah, and if he can't, then we know based on practice today, I'm pretty sure that Ambry Thomas is probably starting on that side. So if he does, let's just see if he's taken a step from last year, if he still has that confidence that he had at the tail end of last season. If he doesn't, we're going to find out because you're going to have to start putting safety help over there.
Are you surprised that it's Thomas and not Womack? I got to say, I mean, I predicted that it could be. I put that out there as a very distinct possibility, but I was leaning towards believing it would be Womack.
But I think you also were leaning towards Womack in the slot before the season started too, right?
Most definitely leaning towards him in the slot where he started and then has fallen out of favor. It would seem that it has to do with his run tackling ability. That was what cost him his slot position and seems to be why he wouldn't be the alternative as the first choice on the edge.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to what Shanahan said for many, many years, he cares more about how you do in practice than how you do in the preseason game or how you do in a situation. Like, he puts so much stock into that Wednesday and Thursday and Friday that it's hard for us to tell and really answer that truthfully since I can't see that practice.
No, not even the beat reporters are getting views of that, right? They have a couple of minutes of access and then they're removed. And so we are flying blind in that regard. Shanahan gets access to see who's practicing well. To your point, he's using that information. He's leaning on that information heavily, but we don't have insight on it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just going to trust that process. Same thing you mentioned in the last call about wanting to see Mason. Well, there's something in practice that doesn't allow him to get into the game.
Yep.
But if I'm not, Mason's 24, right?
Yes, Mason is 24.
So
number
the fact
24.
But at least the fact that he's dressing in on special teams tells me that he's not completely out of favor.
No, he's not lost.
It just tells me since Coleman came back and Coleman came in and looked good enough to be a second to Jeff Wilson right now, that you're just down on the depth chart, bro. Like,
that's right. It's going to take another injury, someone else getting nicked up to climb back up.
Yeah, but I'm just putting stock into practice to answer that question. I mean, that's just what he does and how they do it. I mean, we always hear about how hard the defense practices and how tough they are on our offense. Well, it shows because just starting even week one up until halftime when they started to get lazy, they've been the same dominant force every quarter. There's not a quarter that they took off since Chicago.
No.
Even when we lost against Denver, they didn't take off one quarter. They gave up 9
did not.
points.
The offense took off a couple of quarters.
Jimmy G took off those quarters. I don't know what, but the good thing is, I know you guys were talking a couple callers ago about, bad Jimmy's going to come back at some point. Bad Jimmy's going to come back. And I don't know if he is or won't. So I'm not going to be that guy that act like I know the future. But
sure,
the one difference this year that we just need to make sure we don't lose sight of when we're believing that Bad Jimmy could come back. Bad Jimmy was in Denver, his first start. Okay. Good Jimmy was when he took over for Trey and put 23 points up and we smoked the Seahawks. Good Jimmy was against the Rams.
Yep.
Pretty damn good Jimmy was against Carolina.
Absolutely.
Because we have to remember what good Jimmy means. Good Jimmy doesn't mean 100% completion percentage, 350 yards and 4 tuds. Good Jimmy means 0 interceptions, 65+% on the completion percentage, and above 50% on third down.
Yep.
If you give us that, we cannot lose ball games because there won't be enough time in the game for the other team to score more points than us just because of our defense.
I agree.
So if that Jimmy can continue to be who he is, and I believe he is, simply for the fact of he's playing for everything. The last 3 years, he already had the contract. He's the starter. No pressure. There's nobody behind him that even matters. He can do what he wants, play how he wants. He's not getting benched. You are not going to get benched now, but you're also auditioning for 2023 for $100,000 a game right now for every win.
Yeah.
And you're putting the league on notice, because in all reality, he knows what teams wanted him in the offseason.
Oh, absolutely.
And he knows the teams that probably said, eh. So at the end of the day, he's literally sitting there going, screw it. And Kyle, too, sees the same way. Who gives a damn what I do and air out Jimmy, throw deep balls in practice, change the style? Because at the end of the day, it's an all or nothing with Jimmy. We ain't winning a Super Bowl with Purdy, and we ain't winning a Super Bowl with some random that's going to come in and take it over. So, hey, Jimmy, go balls out. Let's just open up this playbook. Let's progress each game. And this game is the one to do it. And this is why I predict 41-13 in this game. Because if our offense cannot put up more points on Atlanta than they did on Carolina, we are going to be going into Kansas City a little bit nervous. Can we score enough points on that team?
Yeah.
Because the one thing I do know about Jimmy G, and when he plays teams like the Kansas City Chiefs, other than when he tore his ACL, because he only played 3 series, he's going to sit there and let our team linger, but he's not going to be the better quarterback in the game. So the odds are he's going to get beat in the fourth quarter against a better quarterback. So if he can progress against Atlanta, that'll give me the confidence, especially after seeing KC play on Monday night, that we should be able to put up 40 on them too. It's just a matter of how well does our defense handle up in 60 minutes, barring any new injuries this week against Atlanta. So that's how I'm looking at it.
I love it. I love the prediction and the logic that takes you to why the 49ers should have greater success against Atlanta as opposed to what they were able to do against Carolina. So you make a direct comparison there that is a logical leap. And then I agree that you will have a significantly better idea of how we're going to fare against Kansas City by watching the way in which the offense performs in going up against Atlanta. I have a sense that Atlanta will play a physical brand of football. They'll be able to keep it a little bit tighter than that. And I do believe this one is going to actually be a tighter game than it should be. However, if it breaks out the way that you're saying it does, I will feel wildly more confident against KC. I think that this offense is still due for a couple of halts and stops and then some starts again. I believe that we'll probably see more of that inconsistency against Atlanta this weekend.
Okay. Well, I mean, if we do, and depending on why the inconsistency is there, was it because of a Kittle fumble? Was it because Jimmy G overthrew a wide open guy? Was it because a running back made the wrong cut when it could have been a first down? Like, depending on the reasons why we stall out will give me a better response to that next time we chat or post game or whatever it is. Because to me, when I look at our offense, every single drive is normally hindered by one stupid play. And it's not
so frustrating.
It's not always by Jimmy. It's someone could have ran the wrong route. You know, could have ran the wrong route. Somebody blew a O-line assignment and just someone came through on a free release, which forced Jimmy to throw the ball away. You know, one simple little thing like that. So if we can just progress this week against an Atlanta defensive line that honestly, they're hurting too. Like, they're not as healthy as everybody proclaims on that defense. And even when they are healthy, if you watch their games, they normally get smoked the first half, and then they start trending in the better direction in the second half. Well, if that's the way that they try to get back in games, we should be up 21-24-0 at half, and then our defense should take over the rest of the game.
That's the hope. But if it happens like it has for us in the last 4 games, we'll have the yards. We just won't have the score. So I hope you're right. I hope that we do put up the points in this one to match the physical dominance of yards, the offense moving the ball, that we do not shoot ourselves in the foot, and that we do punch it into the end zone. I would agree that in theory we should be able to do that. The evidence suggests to me that we will struggle yet again.
How many points do you think Atlanta's going to score with their offense?
I don't think that Atlanta gets above 17. I honestly don't. However, I believe that the Niners are going to be somewhere closer in that region of 24. So I could absolutely see a 24-17 game where it feels closer. It's still a domination where the 49ers have, more yards and physically took care of the team, but that it could look close. And if one or two things go the wrong way, could be close.
See, to me, I mean, I watched some Atlanta film. I mean, their passing game is atrocious. The only yards the yards they've really gotten are when Mariota airs it out in the fourth quarter when they're down by 3 scores. and when other teams are playing 15 yards off the ball.
Right.
So I can't count those yards because that's not how we play defense unless we're blowing them out. So if they think that their number one receiver, Drake London, as of now, is going to beat Charvarius Ward based on seeing how Ward is playing the first 5 games, not in a prediction right now, that's you lose. Like, no, that just doesn't make sense to me. So if you go down the rest of the line, even if Kyle Pitts plays, he's not 100% because he's barely practicing. And if he does, he hasn't even had a good year anyways. So if Pitts just has a decent game, I don't know, give him 5 for 50 yards.
Sure.
I don't know what else they're going to do to even do anything against our defense. The only way I can see them really putting up points is if our offense turns the ball over on their side of the field to where they can basically go 3 and out and kick a field goal and get 3 points. I really don't see how they can sustain drives based on how they play football and with their best running back out now. I mean, I just don't. It doesn't make sense football-wise. It'd have to be turnovers, or
it will require them to get up for this one. But it does seem that is what they've been able to do to this point, playing a very physical brand of football.
I mean, what does everybody say when they play the 49ers, when they go into the game? Oh, well, we practice different this week. Oh, it's going to be physical. Yeah, it's always physical for the first drive because you're at 100% capacity in your energy level. But so were the Dallas Cowboys in the playoff game when we ran 16 plays down their throat in their house with a Mitchell touchdown. And I'm just using examples. So was when the Rams came in last year when we did 3 and 5 and we run an 18-play drive and shove it down their throat for a touchdown. So, I mean, it all sounds good on paper until you get in there and go, oh, damn. Woo, man, Debo and Shanahan and Kittle and the rest of these guys. Atlanta may get a good, decent first drive or so, but I'm telling you right now, mark my words, I'm going to text you. We will be up by 2 possessions, whether it's 10-0 or not, in the first quarter.
Hey, man, I'm hoping you're right about this. I'm hoping that this is a blowout because I can't have a nail biter when I'm there in Atlanta. We need to end this streak, my friend. So I'm hoping you're right.
Yeah, no, I mean, without a doubt. I mean, this should be – and that's a cool stadium, by the way. I think someone asked you about, is it better than Levi's or whatever? Basically, it's going to be a duplicate of Minnesota to you.
Yep.
The only difference is you're not going to have as much glass in terms of like view. It's more
right, because Minnesota is the entirety of that wall, which then killed a bunch of birds, and the Audubon or whatever society is upset about. Not the same at Mercedes-Benz, but it is, I would argue, maybe the coolest looking stadium in the NFL.
No, they did a great job in terms of aesthetics. But I'll tell you though, Atlanta's pretty cool. Do you rent a car? Or do you not rent a car when you go? Do you use Uber?
Typically, I just Uber, unless it's something where it's, I need to get out of town for something. It ends up being cheaper just to Uber everywhere.
Yeah, because this place would be horrendous. I mean, you can go, well, I know you don't drink, but all the bars are right there, and then you just pop right down across the bridge. The police block off everything, and you just mob in there like you're going over the white bridges at Levi's, type deal. But yeah, no, have a great time at the game, and that's awesome. I mean, at the end of the day, like, to me, just get this stupid game over with. I want to get into the real season because obviously there's no such thing as avenging a Super Bowl loss in the regular season.
No.
But I'm going to tell you right now, you want to see us shoot up to number 1 in the power rankings, beat Atlanta KC. And beat KC. I don't care, beat KC by get a field goal at the end. I don't care how we beat KC,
it's a fact.
To be honest with you. And I mean,
it is a fact.
I just want to see our defense continue that trend of their eliteness. I mean, you saw what I sent you a couple times with their stats. I mean, that's just unheard filthy. Like, if you're number 1 in all those categories, that's why going into this Atlanta game, Rob, to be completely honest, I gave 13 points because Bosa's out. Honestly, I mean, if you look at last game, they got that one touch, the last game with Carolina. They got the touchdown by McCaffrey. That's fine. 4th down play. We were thinking it's pass. Good job. You handed it off and he scored. But outside of that, I mean, those are all Baker had a couple passes, but our defense, that's what they do. They dangle a carrot. They go, here, we want you to throw this later in the game so that we can put you in a bad position or run this play. And then they shut you down when it counts. Like, this is going to be nasty for Atlanta. The only thing I see going for them is that they're going to be in their throwback uniforms. That's the only thing. You get to see them in the red helmets this game, so that may look cool. Bring you back to Deion Sanders.
Dirty Birds.
Bring you back.
Let's avenge 1998.
Bring it back to when we were actually in the same division.
Oh, goddamn. Oh. All right, Sean, I got to get down to Quesadilla Thrilla, who got back into the stream. We're almost at a 2-hour freaking show now. Anyway, Sean, we'll break down a win next week when we come back after Atlanta because the Niners are going to handle business.
You got it, brother. Enjoy that cut, man.
Hey, man, I most definitely will. Hey, you take care. Say thank you again to your wife, please.
Yeah, of course, brother.
All right, take care, my friend.
All right, bye.
Later. All right, we are closing this one out, bringing in Quesadilla Thrilla to the stream.
What's
How
up?
you doing, my friend? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. How's it
yes,
going?
Yes, sir. Welcome into the stream.
Thank you.
Absolutely, man. So how you feeling about the season to this point? And obviously, Atlanta, we are expected to win this one. I'll be honest, though, some of these games where we go in expecting wins make me nervous.
Yeah, me as well. I think the Niners as a team, they're doing pretty well.
Yes.
I'm really surprised with the offensive line. I thought the special teams would be a little bit better.
I did too. I do feel like it's been a couple of lapses that if they can fix that, this is still a good unit. That all the players are there. I'm not worried about the personnel. It doesn't feel like it's a lost cause. It feels like it can be fixed on some level.
Definitely. And it seems every week they're getting better all the way around. It seems like last week we were talking about the outside zone, and I don't know if somebody on the Niners was listening to the show,
right?
But sure enough, they started doing some outside zone stuff, which is refreshing to see because it actually worked.
Someone tuned in. They were like, you know what? They got a point. We should probably bring that back. We got to spread this defense out.
Definitely.
Sure enough, they did. Lo and behold, there was some good stuff that came out of that.
Definitely.
And it is showing in the stats. I mean, I've said it twice in this program, but Jeff Wilson Jr. is not running into as many 8 or 9 man boxes within the Jimmy G era as previous running backs had to.
Yeah. Like you brought up earlier, I think just the threat of going deep kind of opens things up across the middle.
It does. It really does. Even if you don't take those shots, when teams know that you can, that forces them to be honest.
It definitely does. And it's good to see Jimmy's footwork like we talked about last time. His arm and his shoulder look really good. I mean, all the way around, I'm really impressed with the team. I mean, we've had some sad moments, losing Mosley and Trey, of course. But overall, I think that positive vibe you have here is just carrying over everywhere. I mean, it's looking up. Definitely is.
I'm telling you, I try to keep that positive because it feels so much better when like you maintain it and then the season turns around and you're like, I was there all along. Yes. I didn't waver. I mean, let's be honest. I wavered last year when it got so dark that like I started out positive and then at some point I was like, all right, I'm frustrated, but quickly rose back. It's just to be on that ride is something else. I'm here for it. And again, to me, I add football fandom to my life to be a positive. And am I heartbroken when the Niners lose? Yes. Yes, I am. You should have seen me after the 2 Super Bowls. When I left the Superdome with my dad, our heads were down. When I left Miami, one of my buddies sent me a text that I took the wrong way. I blocked his ass hard. I was like, no, you can't take a shot at me right now. If you think that you can take a shot at me after my team has lost the Super Bowl, you do not know me very well. Exactly. I am not in a mental space where I can handle that. I need to go deal with this first. So yeah, those were the spaces I was in. But other than that, I try to remain real positive because that's what I want out of my football fandom.
Appreciate that. Yeah. Just all the way around. Cause I mean, every day we're dealing with so much, with whether it's inflation, gas, work, whatever. It's good to escape and get into some place that, like I said, almost feels like home. It feels safe. Everybody can relate. We can talk to each other. You recognize the chat room. It's pretty awesome, Rob. Appreciate you a lot.
I appreciate that, man. I really do. It does feel like there's a whole community here. You know what I mean? Like there's commonality. I see people when someone rolls in mid-show and they're like, hey, I'm here in the chat. Like I see other people pop in and say what's up to that individual. Like it's a friend, like Norm and Cheers, right? Like people roll in, hey, Norm. That's a good feeling to me. And anytime that there is that I don't know, everybody coming together, whether it's over an injury and people, saddened by the loss of E-Man, or if it's a tough loss, coming together, it does feel like we can lean on one another. And then obviously here to celebrate with one another, most importantly, when we have those critical victories.
Definitely. Feel the love. Like Bennett brought up, all the footwork you do for us. Really appreciate you a lot.
Thanks, man.
Really
and there's
do.
love coming in from Chris Royal on your hat, too. Rocking the Shanny hat. Chris saying that is fire. I agree. I almost pulled the trigger on one of those, didn't, and have regretted it, not having one in my collection. I am envious. That is a dope hat, my friend. So going into the game against Atlanta, how do you feel about it? How do you feel this one shakes out? Ooh. Are you concerned that it's going to be close and that we continue to have these stops and starts on offense, be a little bit inefficient? Or will Jimmy and this offense continue to progress and look smoother than they have in weeks past?
I think Kyle's going to mix it up a little bit. I think he understands how you're bringing up. I think it was 72 snaps. The defense was out there. That's a long time.
That's worrisome.
And, we need some more ball control. He needs to get a little bit more creative, and I think he will with the run game. And, Tevin Coleman's like a breath of fresh air. He really is.
He really is.
Maybe we get Mason in there too, but with TDP coming back, I think he's going to surprise Atlanta quite a bit.
I hope you're right. Both you and Sean 9519ers now are getting me fired up about a potential blowout win because I could use it. I could use a game like that I'm not stressed in. The defense could use one where the running game really gets going. Let's get Jeff Wilson Jr. the bulk of the carries, but get TDP involved, the bowling ball, taking down tacklers in the second half. And to your point, get a couple of carries to Jordan Mason. Let's just see what the young gentleman can do in a real game situation.
Yes, please.
I'm telling you.
I think we're going to hopefully not show too much for the rest of the league. But I think this momentum, if we can carry it through into Kansas City, I think we're going to be all right.
I think so, too. We need positivity. We need momentum coming back. And you just can't allow a team to sneak up on you like Atlanta. If you're going to win the NFC West, if you are going to be number one in the NFC West, you can't cough up games that you're supposed to win, where you're a 6-point favorite by Vegas odds. You have to win those games, and you need to win them handily so that you can rest some players, so that you can have a leg up for KC. So I hope that Shanahan really has the foot down on the gas pedal on this one, leaning on the run game primarily, but with some well-timed passes, some shots from Jimmy G. I'd be fired up to see the offense continue to shred.
Me as well, and it's pretty refreshing to see Kittle involved. Man, he's such a beast.
He is. The guy deserves to be involved. He plays so hard, whether he's got the ball or not. And the only time that you're going to get recognized with the statistics and with the fan elation is when you have the ball in your hands. So I think Shanahan's got to work on making sure that that's happening with a regular basis, getting him involved in the offense. Because when a defense has to account for a all-star tight end who's also an all-star blocker, I do think it changes what they can do.
Yeah, when they start spreading the ball around, it really keeps the defense on their heels. And I think more and more as Jimmy gets comfortable with the playbook and they start sprinkling in a little bit more, I think the offense is really going to turn the corner.
I hope that is the case. I'm looking forward to it, man. This has been a phenomenal show. We hit the 2-hour mark coming up in a couple of minutes. Had zero intention of going 2 hours, but when people are here and want to talk about Niners, I do too. And so I can't help myself. And I'm glad that I did, because this was a hell of a way to end the show. I'm grateful that we were able to have this interaction, my friend.
Thank you, Rob. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. And I hope that we have another interaction next week where I am smiling and laughing about the fact that that streak is gone and dead, and we are on to a new win streak for Rob at the game.
Let's go, Sneakerheads.
Let's go. I appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful afternoon. I hope that you enjoy the Thursday night game, which I gather from the chat is a rough one to watch. But I hope that the finish for the Thursday night game is good. And most importantly, that you're somewhere cool to watch that game against Atlanta on Sunday.
Thank you very much. I'll be at work, I'll be watching on my phone.
Awesome. All right, man. Take care. I'll see you again soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. This was a phenomenal show. Just honestly, I mean, I always say it here. I always say thank you to those that are watching, and I mean it. I really do mean it. It's not empty words. It is not just me saying that, because it is a genuine emotional connection between me and what it is that we do on this channel, the community that we have created on this channel, the group of people that come together and share positivity, everybody that has supported this channel from the get. I mean, just can't say thank you enough. Just cannot say thank you enough. Chris Royal coming in to say thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. Snacks, appreciate you. Luke Luna, appreciate you. Harold Murillo coming in. Great show, everyone. Appreciate you, Harold. Raphael 562 Niners. Appreciate you, Jason Walsh. I appreciate you, 187. Fun debates, boys. Go Niners. It is. It's always fun talking about football. I will be back on with Jack Hammer tomorrow, the Hammerhead Show. You know it. You love it. That show is great with insights. We'll be talking about the upcoming matchup against Atlanta. Look for that program to start at the 4 o'clock hour. If you want to follow me on Twitter at The Left Shoe, you can see if that time does change. You can also subscribe and hit the bell notification here to see if that time changes. Raphael 562 Niners coming in. Sneakerhead here on the channel. Just appreciate you showing some love, Raphael. Luke Luna says, Rob Schuh, even the people who come and watch the replay too, love. Awesome. I miss shows and will watch them after. I always appreciate the comments that get dropped on my page. I answer every single one of them unless I get flooded with hundreds and hundreds of them and can't. But like I said, I do. I get back to Luke Luna's comment that keeps me smiling. Quesadilla Thrilla 71, Sneakerhead here on the channel, and our last guest on tonight's show says, thanks again, Rob. Sneakerheads, be safe and have a great weekend. Absolutely. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the game. Let's get this W. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, cheers, faithful.